guys, I'm Danny Johnson, CEO at TPP, The Positive Porpoise.
I'm Jason Miller from Fins Up SoCal Fan Club.
I'm Scott Howell from Atlanta Dolphin Club.
Mark Angelo, NorCal Dolphin Club.
And you're listening to Clock Blockers, Miami fans' #1 morning show.
Run it, 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 run it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy, Stephen D, and we are live on this Throwback Thursday. I'm wearing my throwback jersey. I don't know about y'all, but I am super excited to be hanging out with y'all this morning. We've got a lot to talk about today. But before I get into all that, let me get into why we're here. The #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. I'm your host, Stephen D. Super excited to be hanging out with y'all this morning. You guys can find me on social media at Stephen D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. Always on the Twitter game, and definitely, hey, help me out. Follow me. Definitely want to see you there. Also, want to remind y'all too, follow Miami Sports Music on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Miami Sports Music, and Twitter at MIA Sports Music. Want to remind y'all, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button on your way through the door. Hit it, tap it, whatever you got to do to it. And also subscribe to the channel. We can't grow without you. Subscribe. All right? Make sure you guys go do that. Also, if you haven't done so already, sign up now to become a member. Join today. Sign up in the description below. You will see the join now link. You guys can do that here. And you guys can go ahead and sign up. Also, want to remind you guys, help the channel grow by donating. 3 different ways you guys can do that. You guys can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ down at the bottom of the chat. You guys can also use Cash App, which is $ MSM Podcast Network, and also PayPal, which is MSM Podcast Network. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor of the show, Tail Greeter. Absolutely an amazing sponsor of the show. Download the free app today on your current Apple or Android device at Tail Greeter. Make sure you follow them on social media to get all your tailgating needs. And look, football season might be over, but the tailgate never stops. So make sure you guys go and check out what they got in store for this year coming up. Got a lot of great events. Also want to give a big shout out to our other sponsor of the show, Zsm Sports. They are absolutely amazing. They have a lot of cool signings coming up. Zach does. So make sure you check it out. They got Brandon Jones on March the 8th. It's a private signing. If you're interested in it, what you're going to want to do is go to Zsm Sports on Instagram and get in touch with him. And he has that there. Also, I want to remind you guys too, to also do, they got Javon Holland coming up. I believe it's April 23rd. So make sure you guys do that. And if you are also interested in getting a Javon Holland autographed jersey, we have a great raffle that we're doing. If you donate $10, every $10 donation that you make. So if it's $10, $20, $30, you get a different ticket for each $10 donation that you give. We're going to be giving away on March the 4th, which is next Friday, this bad boy right here, this Javon Holland autographed jersey. It'll come with an authentication form and all that, and he will mail it out to you wherever you live in the U.S. So make sure you guys do that. Got a lot to do that. So if you guys want to donate, I ask that you donate through PayPal, which is $ MSM Podcast Network, MSM Podcast Network, or Cash App, which is $ MSM Podcast Network. All right. And if you donate through Cash App or PayPal, I will double your raffle. So if you donate $10 instead of 1 entry, you'll get 2 entries. If you donate $20 instead of 2 entries, you'll get 4 entries. So if you donate those 2 ways, you guys can go ahead and do that. Or if you donate through the YouTube channel there, hey, that's great too. Whatever's convenient and easy for you to just entice more people to donate through Cash App and PayPal, I'll double your entry for whatever it is. All right. So make sure you guys go ahead and donate to the channel, help the channel grow. Got a lot going on there. We definitely want to make that. All right. I'm struggling this morning. I'm going to talk to y'all as my friends this morning. Whew. Hold on. Okay. I thought about not doing the show this morning because, the world, what's going on in the world, and I didn't know if it was important to do a sports show with everything that's going on, because there are way more important things rather than is Tua Tagovailoa the quarterback of the future, or is Mike McDaniel the quarterback, the coach to. And I don't talk politics on my show. I don't like to talk politics, but my wife walked into the room and she goes, Steven, a couple things. She's like, y'all thank my wife this morning for me doing the show, because she said, there are people that rely on this show in the morning, that want this show in the morning, that use the show as a getaway to get away from the world. And I thought about that, and she's like, sports brings people together, so you should do the show. So I want to give a big shout out to my wife for making me realize that, right? And also just realize today is a tough day, period. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but my Twitter handle is spread kindness, positivity, and love, right? And I like that. I love that. I've always I'm sorry I'm struggling to speak. I've always promoted that for the most part. I know lately it hasn't felt like I've been very positive about the team, but I am a very positive person in detail. I think that hate in general is something that it spreads. It's like oil and water. But kindness and love conquers all. I'm truly believe that. I truly believe that in every way, shape, or form, and ounce in my heart. So what's going on overseas, we cannot not talk about. At least touch on it. I don't want to get into the ins and outs about Russia or the Ukraine thing, but what I will say is anytime you go to war, or anytime that anytime that something like this comes up, it sucks. And especially in the scenario that is going down between Russia and Ukraine, because it seems to me that this is an unprovoked attack. And again, I hate talking about, I don't want to talk about politics and stuff, but I have to say that it really, look, last night bothered me. I was up till 1:32 a.m. on the phone looking at, news stories, looking at Twitter, I was flipping back and forth between all the news outlets, all of them, to see who was saying what. This sucks, man. There's no doubt about it. And I want to understand why people do what they do, but I don't know if we will. I don't know if we'll ever understand why people do what they do. But I know what sports has done for me in the past, and sports has, and I'm going to get to it here in a little while. I'm going to talk about, I went online and I was like, examples of sports bringing the world together or bringing people together. And I found a really cool article of 30 examples over the history of the world where sports has brought people together. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to get that here in a minute. But, man, it seems like sport, like we sit here and argue every day about the Dolphins. And I love the Dolphins. And the reason that I love sports over politics is I would rather argue with somebody about the Dolphins every day, 10 out of 10 times, over Democrats and Republicans, over news and political views. Like, I hate politics with a passion. With a passion, I hate politics. but you cannot not talk about this. You can't get away from it. And so, again, I didn't even want to do the show this morning, real talk, because I didn't know if it was right to do a show peaceful here in America when, people are being invaded and attacked. I mean, it's sad. It's sad on every level. It sucks on every level. There's really, and I hope you guys can understand me saying what, and honestly, I'm just getting my thoughts out in my head. So I appreciate you guys letting me say these things and not changing the channel. I really don't know what to say other than the whole situation sucks. I wish that it would change, but I can wish all I want because this is the world that we live in right now. We have to deal with it one way or the other. And there's going to be consequences for the actions that were set forth by Putin, and I don't know, man. What I will say is I'm a man of faith and a man of God. And I don't talk religion on my channel just as much as I don't talk politics because I like to respect everybody. But I will say that, a prayer is definitely needed for Ukraine and the people of Ukraine. We definitely need to be putting our thoughts and prayers with them because, it's the whole thing just sucks, man, with a passion. And I don't know where we fit in society in this whole thing, and it definitely looks like a precursor, not a precursor. It's not a precursor. It's the beginning of a war in Europe, and based on the history of our world, that usually is a precursor to the U.S. getting involved. And I don't know if it is, and I don't know if it will be, and I don't want to have that argument or talk with somebody on here. But, look, I there's a side of me that's, thankful that my kids are 8 and 6. But there are plenty of people that watch this channel that have children that are adult children, and they're, 18s, 19s, 20s, 21s, 22s. They're the ones that, they're going to be the ones going off to fight the war if we go. And so my thoughts are with them too. Because and I know this in no way, shape, or form compares, but I would say that, I see a lot of hate on Twitter and in the YouTube community and in the Dolphins content creator community. And one of the things I don't like is when somebody is putting somebody else, like there's hate on both sides, right? And people want to talk about other people on their channels or their content platforms, and it really bothers me. And I try not to touch on it. I try to be Switzerland. I try to say that my channel is a neutral place for everybody to come on. Not everybody takes me up on that offer, which is fine. That's their right to. But I just I don't know, man. I just want to see everybody love each other and come together and sing Kumbaya, but it's not where we're at. And I don't even know how to go on to talk about anything else this morning because nothing else seems important. Nothing. Nothing else seems important than what's going on in the world right now. Saying hitting that like button and donate to the channel seems not important. Like, I don't even, again, if it wasn't for my wife saying what she said this morning, there would be no show. There would be no show right now. Krista Locke says, nope, sports are more important right now. And that's what my wife said this morning. That's what my wife said, Krista Locke. She said, sports have brought people together in the history of our world and our society and our country, not just our country, but in the world. Sports has brought people together. So that's what I feel like is a good segue, right? Let's segue into that. So let me take this off the screen. All right, and let me put this onto the screen. So this is a website called Stacker. I'm not familiar with it at all, but I thought it was really cool because I started going through it, and it's 30 examples of sports bringing the world together. Right? And so I figured we go through all 30. Why not? I think it's a little history lesson for us today. So let's go ahead and go through 30 times in the world's history of sports bringing the world together. Number 30. Matthew Webb swims the English Channel. British captain Matthew Webb in 1875 became the first person to swim the English Channel. Webb was known for water stunts, but it wasn't until the famous swim that he became an international celebrity. The whole world wanted a piece of the captain as he celebrated with parades, speaking engagements, and other stunts around the globe. And so, again, in all the times and all the different kinds of things that there are in the world, I think little things like this allow for the world to shift their focus on something else rather than what's going on. Number 2, modern-day Olympic Games commence after 1,500 years. The Olympic Games were officially reborn in 1896 and featured 12 countries from around the world. Taking place in Athens, Greece, the Games were filled with nearly 300 athletes competing in 43 events. That included wrestling, track and field, gymnastics, and more. The competitors were all men, though women officially joined the ranks 4 years later in the 1900 Games in Paris. Crowds were estimated at 60,000 for opening day, but the international spirit of the sport took hold. Today, billions around the world watch the Games. And we know, and I'm sure it'll get going into this, how big the Olympics can bring people together. And that's the other thing that sucks about it, because the Olympics just wrapped up, I believe, or are in the process of wrapping up. And Vladimir Putin was at the opening ceremonies. And who would have thought, less than 2 weeks later, this would happen. Togo the Sled dog saves lives. The Iditarod is a legendary, this is a great movie too, if you guys want to see a really good movie. Togo the Sled dog saves lives. The Iditarod is a legendary annual Alaskan sled dog race, but it's part of its history has a much deeper meaning and still relevant today. Known as the Great Race of Mercy, back in 1925, there was a shortage of antitoxin in Nome, Alaska. And guys, excuse me if I'm butchering the names. I'm not even going to try to say it. There was an outbreak, and it was beginning to spread. At the time, it was impossible to reach the area by plane or ship, so Leonard Sapula and his team of Siberian Huskies, led by his number 1 dog, Togo, raced hundreds of miles to Nome to deliver antitoxin and stave off a mass outbreak and likely save thousands of lives. Most know the more famous Balto, who completed the final stretch, while Togo completed the most mileage of it. Louise Long and Jesse Owens defy Nazi sentiments. 1936 Berlin Olympics took place in the backdrop of the impending World War and Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party. At the same time, America's best athlete was African-American track star Jesse Owens. And one of the most selfless acts of the game, German long jumper Louise Long helped Owens qualify for the final by giving him tips to avoid foot faults. Owens went on to win the gold and is credited long for help. Again, another time the world has come together around sports. Jack Nicklaus concedes a putt at the Ryder Cup. The Ryder Cup is the most prestigious biannual team golfing event between America and Europe. And in 1969, America team was led by Hall of Fame 18-time major champion Jack Nicklaus. The Cup came down to a final singles match between the Golden Bear and Britain's Tony Jacklin. On the last hole, with the score tied, both players faced short putts. Nicklaus sank the first one, leaving Jacklin with a short putt to tie. And one of the greatest moments in sportsmanship, Nicklaus picked up Jacklin's ball, conceding the putt and guaranteeing a tie for a share of the Ryder Cup. Ping pong diplomacy changes U.S. and China relations. During the height of the Cold War in the 1970s, a small encounter between two ping pong players helped bridge a massive divide. In 1971, American ping pong player Glenn Cowan was late for his team bus, so he hopped on the Chinese bus instead and struck up a conversation with one of the Chinese team's best players, Zhang Zedong. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering it. The two became friendly, exchanged gifts, and it led to Chairman Mao Zedong inviting the American team to play in China. President Richard Nixon also welcomed the Chinese team to a reception. The goodwill ultimately led to an official diplomatic relation between the two countries. "50 countries tune in for Fight of the Century." The Fight of the Century pitted Muhammad Ali against Joe Frazier at Madison Square Garden in 1971. Both fighters were undefeated heading into the match, which was a first of the heavyweight for a heavyweight championship. Upwards of 20,000 fans attended the fight, but globally, Frazier's 15-round victory was broadcast in 50 countries and multiple languages and is estimated to have been seen by more than 300 million people. Billie Jean King takes on Bobby Riggs in tennis and Battle of the Sexes. In 1973, Billie Jean King was attempting to put women's tennis on the map and agreed that a match against male tennis star Bobby Riggs for $100,000 and to prove that women's sports deserve their own respect. King beats Riggs in 3 straight sets, while around the same time that Title IX was passed in the United States. The combination of the two events led to an explosion of women's sports participation around the world. The Jamaican bobsled team wins hearts and minds around the globe. The Jamaican bobsled team is one of the biggest underdog stories in Olympic history and one of the most unlikely. It is in a country known for its track and field stars. The Jamaican bobsledders were forced to practice near a soccer field. The team competed in the Calgary Winter Olympics in 1988. And while they didn't win any medals, they won the hearts of fans worldwide. The story of the team ultimately turned into a 1993 Disney movie called Cool Runnings. I do love Cool Runnings. It's one of my favorite movies. The Dream Team shows the world next level hoops. 1992 Olympic Games in Barcelona marked the first time NBA players were allowed to participate in the Summer Olympics. Basketball was already a global game, but the international competition had yet to compete against the best players in the world from the NBA. Led by Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, the Dream Team plowed through the competition for a gold medal. But along the way, they forged relationships with players and fans from around the world. The Dream Team is widely credited for bringing a wider global audience to the game of basketball and for the immense amount of international talent in the NBA today. Nelson Mandela tags rugby diplomacy. Memorialized in the film Invictus, newly elected South African President Nelson Mandela used rugby to help bring his country and world together. The Rugby World Cup took place in Johannesburg in 1995, and the sport had typically been viewed as all white. Mandela, needing to calm a nation in the post-new apartheid era, donned his country's team's colors and strutted onto the field to chants of Nelson from the crowd. Team captain Francis Pignard also gave a speech to the crowd on the merits of Mandela, and the entire country's powder keg was diffused through the sport. Nelson Mandela is one of the most amazing people in the history of the world. Love Nelson Mandela. Players honor 9/11 heroes and pay tribute to lives lost. After the Twin Towers were attacked by terrorists on September 11th, 2001, the entire world mourned the thousands of lives lost. But the sports community came together in solidarity to grieve and celebrate the first responders who saved countless more lives. Players donned helmets with NYPD and fire department from New York emblazoned on the front. Famously, Mike Piazza hit a go-ahead home run for the Mets in the first New York sports event following the attacks. Today, at the 9/11 Memorial Museum, there's an exhibit dubbed The Comeback Season Sports After 9/11, which celebrates how sports brought people back together and gave fans a reason to cheer again. Basketball Without Borders uses hoops to brighten kids' lives. The NBA Association formed its first global development and outreach program in 2001. Basketball Without Borders is an international camp for kids to help improve their lives through sport. The camps have been successful, and many current and former NBA players were once participants, including Pascal Siakam, Joel Embiid, Marc Gasol, and many more. I don't know what y'all are talking about in the chat here. I'm trying to go through all this, and guys, I have to admit, like, we're only halfway through the list. I'm struggling this morning. I am struggling this morning. I can't believe that some of y'all are even arguing in the chat. It amazes me. It amazes me that y'all are arguing in the chat. Whew. This is a tough show, man. This is one of the toughest shows I've done. Look, here's a reality of it. Whether you're scared or not, it's a sad moment in the world. It's a crappy moment in the world. And you're right, it's out of our control. There's nothing that we can do about it. Nothing. But we can come together. We can be together as family. We don't have to argue with each other. We don't. We can come together and put our arms around one another and just be, hey, look, right now we just need to be with each other. This is the time the Dolphins family needs to come together and real world stuff like this. I don't know what to say other than today sucks. That's it. All right, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to finish this. My wife told me that I was going to do a show today. I'm going to do a show. I'm going to finish this little 30 thing, and we'll go from there. Iraqi soccer team becomes a feel-good story of the Athens Olympics. The United States invaded Iraq in 2003 after George Bush administration had said that the Iraqi Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. At the 2004 games and after the ouster of Hussein, the Iraqi soccer team made an historic run and became the feel-good story of the games. Although the team didn't medal, the players finished fourth overall and inspired a country that had been held under brutal dictatorship for decades. World Cup helps end Ivory Coast violence. The Ivory Coast was in the midst of a civil war in 2005, and when a soccer team was playing in Sudan for the first ever spot in the World Cup, with an entire country watching anxiously, the team, led by international football star Didier Drogba, defeated the Sudanese squad, providing hope for his home country. After the contest, Drogba spoke to his countrymen through the media, imploring them to lay down their arms and hold elections. Sure enough, within weeks, a ceasefire was brokered and the two sides of war came together to negotiate. The Indo-Pak Express defies border conflicts. India and Pakistan have been involved in numerous conflicts since the British partitioned their borders in 1947. But in 2007, tennis stars Rohan Bopanna of India and Asim Karushi of Pakistan joined forces as a doubles team. Their biggest triumph came in 2010 when the pair made it to the U.S. Open doubles final and were cheered on by their respective UN ambassadors who sat together at the match. Karushi has since gone on to start a foundation called Stop War, Start Tennis, where he takes the message of peace all around the world. I like that. Turkey and Armenia match proves diplomacy between countries. One of the biggest sticking points in an ongoing war of words between Turkey and Armenia is over Turkey's refusal to acknowledge the Armenian genocide that claimed around 1.5 million people during World War I. In 2008, the two teams were set to play a World Cup qualifying match, and the Turkish president accepted an invitation from the Armenian president to watch together. In another gesture of goodwill, Armenia loosened visa restrictions so Turkish fans could come to the game in Armenia as well. The match opened new diplomatic channels between the two countries. Yao Ming saves animals. Yao Ming is the best Chinese basketball player in the world and an inductee in the Basketball Hall of Fame. But beyond creating 1 billion new basketball fans in China, his animal activism has made him a global icon. His work with Wild Aid Ambassador helped raise awareness around the conservation of elephants, sharks, rhinos, and more. Yao's efforts helped end the ivory trade in China and brought awareness about animal conservation to the entire world. Boston Strong unifies a grieving city and world. On April 15, 2013, terrorists set off a number of bombs in the Boston Marathon, injuring hundreds and killing 3. As the competition includes a massive international following, the effects were felt around the world. But in the first Red Sox home game following the attack, David Ortiz made his way onto the field at Fenway Park for one of the proudest moments. Ortiz took the microphone and stated, "This jersey that I wear today, it doesn't say Red Sox, it says Boston. We want to thank you, Mayor Menino, Governor Patrick, and the whole police department for a great job of what they did this past week." And I'm not going to worry about the swear jar on this one. And he goes on to say, "This is our fucking city, and nobody's going to dictate our freedom. Stay strong." Somebody wants to donate the swear jar from me on that one. FIFA World Cup serves as a touchstone for a planet full of fans. It's the biggest sporting event on the planet, connecting countries, nationalities, languages, and dissolving borders every 4 years since 1930. The average number of viewers for the FIFA World Cup tops out at about 3 billion people, and most watched the match was more than 1 billion when Germany played Argentina in the 2014 World Cup. Little League baseball and softball program represents 80 countries. Although it started as an American-only event, today Little League baseball and softball is the biggest youth sports program international. Teams represent more than 80 countries from around the world for 10 to 12-year-old boys and girls. The Little League World Series, held in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, is broadcasted around the world and represents one of the biggest annual sporting competitions. The series serves as a major platform for global sportsmanship and cultural education. Pinned down diplomacy brings together Iran and U.S. With the election of Donald Trump towards the end of 2015, United States and Iran relations grew colder by the day. And when Trump administration issued a travel ban against several Muslim countries, Iran retaliated by denying entry to American wrestlers for the Freestyle World Cup. When U.S. courts halted the ban, the Iranian Wrestling Federation took an opportunity to lobby the government to allow wrestlers to compete. The Iranian team did beat the Americans, but new bonds were formed between the wrestlers and what was hoped to trickle up the respective governing regimes. One billion people tune in for the legendary India-Pakistan match. India and Pakistan relations have long been hostile. But when it came to cricket, the two sides share the field in a legendary rivalry, the pinnacle of which is the Cricket World Cup. A typical TV audience for the matches hovers around 400 million people. But when India played Pakistan in 2015, more than 1 billion people watched the match. Hockey briefly unites North and South Korea. In 2018, South Korea played host to the Winter Olympic Games in Pyeongchang. At the time, tensions were still high with North Korea, and it still is now. But for a brief moment, global geopolitical issues subsided as the two countries came together to form a united women's hockey team. Though it wasn't successful on the ice, it did help bring the two countries together as Kim Yo-jong and South Korean President Moon Jae-in watched together and sparked a series of in-person summits between the Korean leaders. The world celebrates as a Thai soccer team is rescued from a cave. After a practice in 2018, the Thai soccer team went on an outing to check out a nearby cave. A monsoon flooded the entrance, trapping the team. The harrowing story of the boys and their coach brought the globe together, and an international rescue team made up of Thai Navy SEALs, Brits, Australians, Americans, and Chinese searched the dark, wet tunnels until they found the team alive 9 days later. The Tour de France unites countries, riders, and fans. One of the most watched sporting events on the planet is the Tour de France, the 21-stage road course that stretches over 23 grueling days. The race first started in 1903 and is still considered to be one of the most prestigious events around the world. Its international popularity is mostly due to the extremely difficult course that takes riders from all over the world around France, covering more than 2,000 miles. Thank you, Chef Zhu. I appreciate it, man. The world cheers for North Korean figure skaters. In 2018 Winter Olympics, the North Korean figure skating team represented the country's only athletes to qualify for the games solely on merit. Welcomed into the Olympic fold like any other athletes, the team was cheered on and celebrated by all countries and a bout of international sportsmanship. The very ethos of the Olympic Games. The team didn't medal, but the goodwill was evident as crowds of fans applauded their performances on the ice. Kobe Bryant's death unifies global sports fans amid their grief. NBA and Lakers legend Kobe Bryant, along with his daughter Gigi and 7 others, brought together an entire planet in grief. The tragedy reminded people of the sports world interconnectedness as well as the importance of family and loved ones. After the news sunk in about the fatal helicopter accident on January 26, 2020, athletes, celebrities united with fans, soccer players, tennis stars, music legends, basketball greats, and golfers donned Kobe's jersey and collectively mourned the loss of one of the greatest athletes of all time. The Last Dance unifies fans during COVID-19. In the midst of the global pandemic in which sports were paused or canceled, one ex-athlete brought international fandom together. Michael Jordan. ESPN decided to move up its long-awaited documentary series, The Last Dance, about the 1997-1998 Chicago Bulls and the dynasty's final title run. The airing of the first 2 episodes was the most viewed documentary in ESPN history, averaging 6.1 million viewers. For a world itching for sports of any kind, Michael Jordan is still scoring in every possible way. Well, that's all 30 stories. Man, sports brings people together. That is one of the best things about sports. That is one of the best things about sports, is it brings people together. And I think that in the world that we live in right now, I don't know what's going to bring us together in this particular moment. But I hope it's sports. I hope it starts to I hope it brings us together in a good way. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that all of you have different things to y'all have different views on this whole situation. And that's fine. That's part about what makes us great, is we can all have different views and from it. But what I would hope is that all of us are able to understand that war, no matter which way it is, like it doesn't benefit. It sucks. It sucks on every level. I don't even know where to go with the show today. I have a list of things to talk about. I was prepared to talk about like Troy Aikman leaving ESPN, Aaron Rodgers, the new coaching staff, MLB negotiations. I had all this written down for today's show, but it just doesn't seem like the show today that I should do. I don't know what y'all think. I don't know how y'all feel. I'm not going to talk politics. I'm just not going to do that. Because that's going to do nothing but turn people off and push people away. And I'd rather you guys not talk about it in the chat. There are other platforms and channels that you can go listen to that. And if it's not my channel today, so be it. But I'm not going to talk politics on my channel. But I will talk about the sadness of what war brings and how crappy this situation is. I only have 43 people watching this morning. And maybe that's my fault because I'm just I'm depressed, man. This whole situation I got to be perfectly honest and tell you that I don't even really know how to move through this, because I want to be respectful of the situation in the world. And I think that my channel is going to be able to be a breakaway from it, right? Like, I think I'll be able to talk tomorrow probably or next week. And I'll be a good breakaway from it. But I think today is a day that we just understand that we're all, it's all love here, man. It's nothing but love and hope and prayer and just the ability to just be brothers and sisters. I don't want to be disrespectful to Pamela and everybody else that's watching. Whew. I'm reading the chat is honestly what I'm doing, because I see most people are in here that are still here watching are here for the chat, man. One man band. You're doing great, Stephen D. Enjoying the show from the UK. I appreciate that, man. I need to hear that. Drew Patron, spread kindness, positivity, and love. Love you, brother. I appreciate that. Scummy says we have enough politics talks with the Dolphins. Ross Greer flow into it. You're right about that. I'm just reading y'all's comments here. You being depressed doesn't solve anything. Take a deep breath and think about something positive. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Raul says, great show yesterday. You must be really proud. I'm always proud of every show. I don't know why yesterday would have been any different. I appreciate that, though. It's crazy how everyday life can change. Of course it is. 100%. 100%. Depression sucks, going through it now, man. Dude, I struggle with it every day. You are not alone. Just know that. You're not alone, Trucker Sean. Ryan AP said, had to go outside and get some fresh air. Feel much better now. Bonjo says, Steven's still taking in the show. Love you, bro. And still turning up. It's leg day. Clanging and banging, baby. Cruz Ruiz says, I wear the uniform. I do my part. Don't like when people who've never done it talk like they know or have. Understand, respect to that, Cruz. 1234 up says, Trucker, if you need to talk, hit me up. See, that's the best part of this channel. A statement like Epps just said to Trucker Sean. That's what we need to do. We need to be here for one another. Not only for this, but for just life in general. Crystalaka says, this is one of those days where life slows down and we put what really matters in perspective. We cannot be consumed by our petty differences anymore. I agree. Number one morning show. I appreciate it. War is always used as a flex power and get money. We should not be surprised by this, but depression is something I fight on the daily. God bless, brother. Steven, your voice and show is literally the soundtrack to my morning workouts now. I appreciate that, Fonjo. That means a lot. Pamela said, the shock of the situation has hit you. Of course it has. Yeah. It's the shock of the situation. There is no doubt about that, Pamela. And I'm not going to let it ruin my week or my vacation starting on Saturday. If you aren't emotionally hit by it, which I think everybody here is, you got to understand like that part. Everybody grieves in their own way or deals with it in their own way. Russell, man, I'm really sorry for you, bro. My hearts and prayers are out with you, man. I never knew that. Russell. Let's see here. Pamela says, believe it or not, I struggle with depression also. You guys are in good company. Wishing you a magnificent vacation. Appreciate it. I have a. If I open up the link today, which I don't really want to do, just so you guys know, and I don't know if I am, but I'm thinking out loud. If I open up the link and I let you guys come on this morning, I don't want arguments. I don't want arguments. That's what I don't want. Because if y'all start arguing, I feel like I got to boot you out. I don't care if I love you or whatever. Like you're going to be gone. No argument today. If you argue or say something to be disrespectful, you're gone. But I have to agree with Christolakis to a certain extent that I think I think people need. I've had a chance to talk. I've had a chance to have you guys listen to me, and maybe you guys need to have a chance to listen. To have somebody listen to you. I don't want to get into politics either. That's the other problem with opening up the link. I don't want to talk politics on my channel. God, this is a hard show today, man. This is the hardest show I've done since I've started doing it. And part of it is I don't have really anybody else to kind of like talk to or go through this. I'm just talking to you guys. You people, you ladies and gentlemen. All right. I'm going to try it. I'm regretting the decision already, but I think it's worth trying. No politics. If you want to, if you want to talk about, if you want to talk about the situation and how you're reacting to it, that's fine. I don't want to hear anything about Biden or Trump or none of that crap. There will be no Biden or no Trump talk. But if you want to talk about, hey, how this is affecting you, how this, and talk about the situation, I'm all for it. You want to talk about depression, whatever, I'm all for it. This is about you all today. But there ain't going to be no politic talk. I don't want to hear Biden and Trump's name at all. I don't want to hear you guys say anybody negative about either one. Don't want to hear it. Okay. I need y'all to promise me that y'all are going to be good if I do this. Don't make me regret it. All right. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Crazy morning this morning. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers. I'm your host, Stephen D. Been a really tough show today. So I'm opening up the chat. There will be no politics talk. We're not going to say any current president, former president's name. But I do want to allow people to be open with how they feel. All right, here we go. I will say that swear jar is still in effect, by the way. All right. All right. Here we go. Here goes nothing. Hello, Pamela.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Stephen D., we love you, man.
I love you too. I'm gonna bring on some other. I'm just gonna bring on people while you're talking.
Okay.
Christolakis.
So Dolphin
What's up?
Dawn, hugs back to you. All you guys. Hugs to you guys.
What's
Good
up,
morning,
Crystal?
guys.
What's
How's
up?
everyone doing?
Morning.
Pretty good. Von Joe, what's up, Von Joe?
Steven.
Hey,
Hello, everybody. Steven, I have a major issue right now.
You're gonna start the show?
He's bringing it.
I'm on you right away because you said you're going on vacation on Saturday. I know your vacation is not going to be just a weekend, so I need to know. I need to know who's going to narrate my morning workouts.
So I have not gotten up, but Cameron is supposed to be doing some of the show, and TD's going to try to do some of the morning show. So
No, Steven, I don't like it. I need definites. I need definites.
Well, Cameron and TD, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they're supposed to be doing it. And so I will double check, and I will have an answer for you by tomorrow morning.
Thank you, sir. That would be very much appreciated.
All right,
Tell him, Vaughn.
Because I instantly went into a panic. I'm like, wait, whoa.
Yeah.
Pause all breaks here. I don't think you understand that my morning literally starts at 6 a.m, get things ready for my kid for lunch, drop them off at school, get back, fix breakfast for my twins. Then by 9 o'clock, I'm turning on Miami Sports Music, Clock Blockers, the greatest morning show in the world.
I appreciate it.
Right? Led by Stephen D. to narrate my morning workouts as I clang and bang.
Clanging and banging, baby.
Clanging and banging.
So we got to make sure this is ironed out, Stephen.
I will make sure it's ironed out. I promise
Hey, Vaughn, did you see the smile you put on his face? There was a smile. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see my camera because I think it's malfunctioning. But I'm not smiling right now. I am in a state of panic.
Don't be in a state of panic.
How you doing? How you in a state of panic on leg day? It's the easiest day.
All right. I am antsy right now, and I'm amped up on pre-workout. So you need to figure this out.
I got you. Cap for life. What's up, Cap for life?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
But I'm gonna drop off because I'm actually gonna be doing lunges outside. So I'm still gonna be listening though. I got you over on the speaker.
All right, get back on whenever you want to.
Literally, my whole neighborhood could hear you talk. So
that's awesome, Vaughn.
All right, take care.
All right, let's see here. I'm gonna bring on Drew Batron. What's up, Drew?
Hey, Drew.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, man? And I'll bring on Green Rat. And I'll bring on Alexander.
Green Rat's been having lots of positivity this morning.
I'm always positive on everything. Steven, before we get started, I just want to say, bro, I tip my cap off to you, sir. You know, for the staying positive, staying upbeat. You know, in the morning. You know,
definitely.
You are an incredible man, and I have the utmost and most respect for you, sir.
I appreciate
and as an incredible dad, incredible parent, incredible person, you are awesome, my friend, and keep up the great work, bro. Love you, man.
You're not gonna make me. You're not gonna make me cry. You're not gonna make
Steven,
me
you
cry.
were put
I
in
got
a
you.
bad situation this morning. This was not an easy situation to handle.
Dude,
it's a rough thing.
I literally. So I'm laying in bed this morning, and it's like 20 minutes before the show, and I don't even have a link up yet. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I don't think I should do the show today. Like, what am I going to talk about for 2 hours? We're going to talk about flow and to it. Like, that seems so irrelevant and just not. And she's like, Steven, people rely on your show in the morning. You're not going to give them something to listen to. And I was like, what am I supposed to talk about? She's like, talk about how sports brings people together. And I was like, well, that is something. So I found that link. I have to admit, it was tough getting through all 30 of them because, yeah, man, it's just a lot. It's just a lot to kind of like put on your head and your mind, just kind of be like, holy cow. Because I love the reason I love talking about sports is because it means absolutely nothing in real life. Sports mean like I can sit here and tell you how bad this football team is, but man, I love this football team. There's nothing I love more than the Dolphins, besides my wife and kids. Let me just throw that out there. But I love them because you know what? They're here every year. I don't have to worry about the rest of the world on because I can talk about the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a beautiful and amazing thing. That's what sports does.
It's an escape.
It is. And I know that some people don't
Exactly.
like when politics and sports are mixed up, and I get that reasoning. And for a while, I felt the same way. I do like Chef Shu says, shout out to Mrs. Daniels. Yes, shout out to my wife today.
I was going to
shout out to
say,
Mrs. Daniels.
she did you a solid there, Steven.
That's another one I forgot to mention. I apologize for that, Steven. Shout out to your wife too, and and God bless her. You got an incredible family, man. And
yeah, I know. I appreciate it, man. Don't be making me cry over here, Alexander.
Did you get
No, I haven't looked at it.
No worries. Did you get the
It
video?
seems like she's always right, Steven.
It's like a
Seems
little
like
small
she's
documentary
always
about
right.
the 9/11.
Don't I hope she's not listening, because if she hears that she's always right, that's not going to help me.
How
okay?
it works in my house too. I'm sorry. That's just how it goes.
Steven, you can spin this show. All you have to say is Tua is the greatest, and
I know.
And we'll be fine.
We'll go back to the way things are, but I don't want to do that, man. I don't even want to go into that today. Like I don't know.
Let's talk.
I got one thing we can say positive about.
So Crystal, hold on. Yeah, I know, right? You're at work. No customers.
No customers.
Crystalakis.
That will make you guys laugh.
Crystalakis. The floor. Why don't you go ahead, man, Crystalakis? I'll let you talk.
What do you want? You want fear mongering? You want optimism? I could go either way at this point.
I want to talk about how much territory the Russians have taken over in 1 week. That doesn't worry anybody. These people need help.
All right, so I'll do the fear mongering if you want. It's up to you. It's whatever Steven wants. I mean, I could talk about this for days.
What I don't want is politics talk, and what I don't want is to hear any current, past, former presidents' names. I don't want there to be, hey, this person should have done this person should have done that. But I do think it's relevant to talk about what happened in the last 24 hours in Ukraine, because I mean, it's scary, man.
All right, so
it's scary.
To give everyone a brief recap, the Ukrainian president and prime minister came out this morning and said, basically, every person in Ukraine should stand up and fight for the independence of the Ukraine, and we should not go, we should not give in to Russia. If you can pick up a gun, which is scary, and I don't know what to call it.
15 years old to 58.
Brave.
Is that what it is?
Point. The issue, the bigger issue everyone's asking is this going to lead to World War III? And the question is whether China and Turkey are going to align themselves with Russia. And then if China goes after Taiwan, then you could lead to World War III. The whole bottom line is they have to attack not just a NATO country, but any member of NATO, an individual of NATO. If an individual of NATO dies, that's a declaration of war against Europe. And that's what the issue is.
You see, the question, John, though, is is U.S. or China strong enough to take down the U.S. if we are going to get involved in this?
It's not going to
Most
be.
likely we are.
It's
Actually.
not
There's
going to
no
be.
if.
I'm telling you right now, it's not. This is not going to be a boots on the ground type of war. Putin has already come out and said, if anyone interferes with what I'm doing, there is going to be consequences the world has never seen. And the guy has worn the same suit for the past 3 days, and people are already saying he's unstable, more so now than ever. So I would not antagonize Putin at this point. This is a very delicate situation where the United States literally has to wait and see.
He's got
what
all
happens.
that talking part done. He's
not
running his mouth.
No, he's not a talking
and he
type
is
of individual.
unstable, just like you said.
No, he's
a person where he puts his money where his
wants.
mouth is. He puts his money where his mouth is, and that's the scary part about Putin. The nuclear weapons aspect to all of this. Nobody wants nuclear war at the end of the day, because it's going to be bombs waged over each other, and that's not what anybody wants. However, I will say this: Putin, like I said before, is unstable, and their missiles have become a lot more advanced than what we have right now. And so does China.
See, that's what scares me. That's what scares me right there.
They have supersonic missiles
are his
already.
missiles enough? Are they enough to hit the U.S.? That's
Bro, that hypersonic missile.
That's what I'm wondering.
You didn't see the link? You didn't see the link I sent you? That hypersonic missile can hit Florida in less than 3 hours, bro. Like,
so
what's going on is real.
Hold on.
Can I interject something?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that all of you know what is known as the Lord's Prayer, right? Yep. And in the Lord's Prayer, what is
you're breaking up? You're breaking up, Pamela.
That is prayed for. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll stand still.
Yeah.
So, what is one of the first things prayed for in the Lord's Prayer? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
On earth as it is in heaven.
Okay. So that prayer shows that God is not going to allow anyone to destroy the earth. And God's kingdom will come to the earth. There will not be some big destruction. This planet was made for us. You pray for it all the time. You were taught to pray for it. Continue to pray for God's will to be done. Mm-hmm. I put a little thing up in the comments about Revelation, where Satan and the demons battled with Michael. Mm-hmm. Michael won the war and threw all the Satan and demons out. You know what happened when that happened? World War I. All the wars, all the problems, people like Putin, why is he so crazed? Why is that little North Korean guy so crazed? They're demon influenced. I mean, pray for what you have always prayed for and have faith. Have some faith. It's going to be okay.
I do have faith that there with every negative there's a positive. With every positive there's a negative, right? And so I think with the extreme of this, there'll be an extreme of something else the other way. That's my hope, right? And so, one of the things, that I have seen on somebody's got a lot of background noise in their thing. Hold on. It's Droob. It's Droob. It's like you got a waterfall behind you, Droob. One of the things that I have seen over the last, 12 hours is so many different presidents of different nations, leaders of different nations, come out in support of Ukraine. And I feel like that is uniting. I feel like that is a positive sign of people uniting. Like everybody from a lot of the leaders in the UK, a lot of the leaders on the other side of Europe, Poland. I know Poland president came out and supported them in the last 5 or 6 hours.
Germany, Switzerland.
Switzerland. Yep, they all have.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, well, Australia too, and nations in South Africa have too, and Canada. Obviously us, and so I do like that. That has made me smile a little bit. That I've seen that.
If you guys are history buffs, really quickly, I want to tell this story. The whole Cuban Missile Crisis down in Cuba, decades and decades ago. There was a documentary called "The Person That Saved the World," and essentially what ended up happening was they were going to launch a nuclear weapon at the United States at Washington D.C. From the Russian submarine, but they had orders from Moscow to do so, but they stopped. One man said, "No, I'm not doing this," and that totally avoided a nuclear war across the world. It took one man to stop that on the Russian submarine who couldn't obey the order. And it's a great documentary if you guys want to look at it on YouTube. It's absolutely amazing how it just took one person just to change everyone's life, because if that man didn't...
A regular soldier? It was just a regular soldier?
No, it was the man that was supposed to turn the key on the submarine. It was two keys. One man already turned his key, he was ready to go, and the other guy did not turn his key. He said, "No, I'm not obeying the order." And that's what stopped nuclear war. And there were
Crimson Tide.
And there were reports that Kennedy at the time was looking outside the White House from the glass window, and they were saying to him, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I just want to see what it's going to look like one last time before this all happens," because he knew that it was inevitable. He knew that it was going to happen. It just took that one Russian soldier not to turn the key. And it's a great documentary if you guys want to see. But in situations like this, someone has to come out and be the peacemaker, and rallying, and what Steven said, all these countries rallying behind the Ukraine and providing support. That's what's needed right now. You don't have to use weapons and drop bombs. You just have to come together and say, "No, we're not going to accept this."
Yeah, man. I think, like, for the most part, everything that's been done throughout the pandemic, everything that's been done throughout the rioting, everything that's been done throughout the Capitol incident, like everything that's been going on throughout all these past 2 years, we might be divided, man, but we're not dumb, man. If something push comes to shove, my neighbor, your neighbor, I don't give a crap, man. Like, we all one, man, when it comes down to stuff like this. Like, the United States really needs to look into this situation with that big chunk of land that's been taken in the span of a week. If that whole territory gets close to NATO and NATO gets taken over also, God forbid, this can be a big shift in the world order.
NATO is an organization of countries. If a member of NATO gets taken over, or if a person of NATO gets killed, that is a declaration of war against NATO, and NATO will have no point but to react and declare war against Russia. And then that's what happens. So when people are saying, "Oh, give the Ukraine just to Russia, it's okay."
No,
you guys think that Putin is going to stop at the Ukraine? I'm sorry, he has other plans. He's not going to stop at the Ukraine, because right next to the Ukraine is Poland. And he's going to and not only is there going to be an exodus of Ukrainians going into Poland, but he's going to march his troops into Poland. And if that happens, I'm telling you, there's a lot of factors that come into play. Like I said, China has to ally themselves.
The man has taken over half the country already. He's taken over half the country already.
Well, I don't know.
No, he's already almost at the capital. If he takes out the capital,
So there's a few things that I think we need to kind of put in perspective, right? I remember pre 9/11, and pre 9/11, I remember reading about wars in history books. Seeing images in the history books for me is what the closest thing I ever saw to like war, or the craziness of the world, right? Post 9/11, it's been crazy. And I remember being a kid. I remember being younger. I guess I wasn't a kid, but I remember being younger and watching the live news of when we attacked, was it Afghanistan or Iraq right after 9/11? And I remember seeing like the missiles and the green light. It was nighttime, so everything was kind of green. Yep. The image was green. And I remember watching that on the news. And last night, I'm on Twitter for the most part, and I'm, flipping back and forth between the channels, and I'm watching a war unfold live. And that, because you start seeing live images, you start seeing the sirens, like that are, the sirens in Ukraine, seeing somebody who lives on a farm in Ukraine, seeing the Russian military like a half a mile out on the main road, seeing tanks come through. That's a wild thing to look. That's a wild thing to look at. Seeing missiles hit military bases in there and airports. Cap, you got a lot of background noise. Seeing military bases and airports get hit with missiles and helicopter fights, and like y'all need to understand, today's world is crazy right now, that we can actually, not only do we know about the war in real time, but we're looking at it in real time. We're and I just think it brings a totally different perspective. And I think that's part of why people are scared, probably more scared than they've ever been. It's one thing to, the Iraqi war, or any war before that, we saw images, but they weren't live shots for the most part.
Yeah, bro. I was watching the live stream.
We were watching last night, this morning. We're watching live streams of it, and that.
Yeah, did you see the tanks? You saw the tanks going through the Belarus. They went through the Belarus. The Belarus let them in. The Belarus is almost half the size of the Ukraine. Yeah, they're taking over.
So, I think that's kind of, Christolakis. You talk about, or people in the chat for that matter, not Christolakis, but people are like, why are you scared? Look, fear is real. You can't stop fear. But I think it makes it. I think it makes it all the worse when things are live with it. But I think as things get a little bit crazier, which they will over the next hours, days, months, I think we need to do our due diligence. What I'll say is we need to do our due diligence and how we receive our information of this war, whether it's news channels, Twitter, whatever it is. Just make sure you don't believe the first thing you read or what you see on one news station, that you go to multiple outlets, you try to verify and
sources. Yes.
Yeah. Sources.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I think that's an important thing to do.
I live by that 100%. A lot of people read one thing and then post it like instantaneously and think it's the gospel, when it could be entirely not true. You gotta verify information, and the best way to verify information is going through corroborating journalism and other sources and seeing if it's true. That's it. That's all you guys got to do. You don't have to believe everything you read, but make sure whatever you read, you corroborate with other sources. That's all. Mm-hmm. Listen, I know a lot of people in the chat. Listen, I'm a man of faith. I believe in God 100%. But at the end of the day, there's a phrase that I'm always not triggered by, but like driven by, and it's, in order for evil to prevail, good men have to do nothing. And that's something that a lot of people have to understand. God, yes, God is important, and depending on what your religion is and everything like that. But if you're able to help, help. My mom, is a very religious person. She always says, God's going to take care of us. God's going to take care of us. And I always tell her, listen, God's very busy doing other things. He has to take care of the sick children of the world. He has to take care of, the people that are abused, things like that. Let God handle that. But if you're capable of helping other people, do it. If you need, if someone is struggling out there, help them out if you can.
Yeah, man. Especially in the stores,
man. Your purpose is on life, not waiting on God, but doing God's work. If you're a religious person.
Bro. Like a good point, bro. Like if you go to the stores, you go to the gas stations, it's going to be hectic. There's going to be people out there being a-holes. You got to overcome that, man. You got to help each other out now more than ever, because they expect us to fall apart.
A lot of stuff happened this morning. I'm sorry I got like this. I didn't mean to do it like this. But...
No, I look, I haven't fully regretted doing a panel yet this morning, but I think it is therapeutic to kind of talk about it and just be like, what can we do? Not even what we can do, because there's really nothing that we can do at the moment except pray and just come together and just be here for one another. And I think that that's part of the best part about sports, right? Like this channel right now, we're not talking sports. We're comforting each other, which I think is, hey, we can do that for each other right now, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, man, you're doing a service for us, man. This is needed, man. A lot of people don't know what's going on. A lot of people aren't educated as far as with sports. Sports does bring people together for people that are not educated or ignorant, don't know what's going on. They work at night. Like, this is serious stuff, man. This is going to affect our wallets big time. Like, people need to realize that.
But the most important thing is that we all come together. And like, I stole a quote from Independence Day. I know it was cheesy. I just love the line where he says we can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. And it's so important now more than ever we understand that line, because we are so dragged down by the inconsequentials, Tua or Watson, Republican or Democrat. I'm going to say it, Biden or Trump. That doesn't matter anymore. We're still part of the human race.
I don't want to hear that name.
We should all respect each other. We should all love each other, and we shouldn't be consumed by those petty differences. That's not what we were here for. That's not what we're about. Whether you're a Dolphins fan, a Bills fan, a Yankees fan, a Mets fan, a Marlins fan, it doesn't matter. Just be a good human being. That's it.
It's real, man. This is real, bro. This isn't, scripted. This is what's going on. Is real. We've never experienced this. No one in the world has since 1954, and that's not something we want to relive. We don't want to repeat history like that.
Listen, I told my parents, I said, every time there's an economic collapse or an economic downfall in the world, war is the only common denominator to pull us out of it. And what we've seen this past year and a half, 2 years with how things have gone in the stock market, inflation, prices going up, oil, all of that, it's just all leading to war as a big reset. And that's the scary part. I feel like war is inevitable at this point, just to avoid, because that's, like I said, it's the big reset. War is just the big reset of everything, and that's what needs to happen. But at the same time, nobody wants their families jeopardized. You think people in the Ukraine, those civilians died this morning. They didn't want this. They didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this. So it's fear is a very, very important thing to have right now, because it puts things in perspective. If you don't, if you're not scared, I don't know what to tell you. But if you have a family and you're worried about your son or your daughter, or your mother, your father, whatever it is, you have to be concerned. You have to be frightful, because we're living in a different world now. They don't need to come marching in on boats. And that's the thing. I mean, Cap said it best. It just takes 3 hours for a missile to hit Florida, God forbid, or to hit New York, or to hit California. Those are real life situations that we all have to deal with. And that's what I think everyone is contemplating right now in their minds. Like, can this actually happen? And the answer is, we don't know. We don't know what the other person on the other side of it is thinking.
I think another thing that this particular, situation brings is, I was talking about it last night with my wife, is we've seen images of this in the past, but they've mostly been in third world countries. Ukraine's not a third world country. I was watching videos last night of neighborhoods recording, bombs that are happening, outside of their city. And I'm like, that looks like my old backyard in the city. Like, they look, it's people who live every day just like you and I.
Yeah, they're human beings. Yeah, exactly. They have families. They live in the same houses that we do. They grow up in the same.
They have televisions and PlayStations and all
exactly
cars, and it's not a third world country. These are just regular people, and that's part of what bothers me with this. And again, to not get into the political side of it, but that's what scares me about the situation even more. And I'm just being, frank with you all. I'm just, trying to tell you my feelings in this is, somebody like Putin is not going to do this without a plan. Like, he's got a master plan in his mind. And he's executing it. And I don't think that you just go into Ukraine to just take over Ukraine. Personally, I think there's a bigger scenario at play here.
Steven, they have the third largest nuclear arsenal reserve in the Ukraine. When they split from Russia, they kept that part. They never, fired it up. But they have nuclear capabilities more than India does. And if they take over that land, it's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap.
It's not just a wrap. It's like I said before, it's more so towards, is China going to join Is Turkey going to join? Because then you start setting up points where you could start attacking other countries. I think that's what we did with Turkey in Afghanistan. With Afghanistan a long time ago, we started sending military aid to Afghanistan and setting up sites in Turkey just to have those locations locked up for points of attack. Now, if they start doing that, then all of Europe is in play, and Europe cannot allow that to happen. If I was in this situation, I just let him have Ukraine. Just let him have Ukraine. Do not antagonize him. If he pushes it farther, then it's a declaration of war.
Yeah, but Christolakis, let's be real, by the time the sanctions kick in, he's already taking it over.
He doesn't care about sanctions. He does not.
That's what I'm saying, exactly.
He was sanctioned for the Crimea annexation. He didn't care.
Back in 2014, yeah.
He didn't care when he annexed Crimea. He did the same thing with Crimea. Now he's doing it with a.
You there, Christolakis?
Sorry, I was getting a phone call.
I thought that was Russia stopping you.
They got him.
Those Russian bots. He knows too much. No, I'm.
They got him. They got him.
What do you think, Steven? What is it that has you like? Because you got the anxiety. I feel it. I have it. Everybody has it. What has you?
I'm trying not to have it. I'm trying not to let it come through the screen or the show. But I don't know, man. Look. I feel like if you tell people that you're scared, you're like, what are you scared of? It's not over here. Whatever. Like I feel like my personal opinion of it, and if you're like I have what Christolakis said, just let them have it. I don't necessarily like that either, because there's a group of free will living people that we're just allowing them to get run over and taken down. And what if that was your mom or your brother or your cousin? And so I look at it like this, okay? I'm in recovery, and I'm in two big groups in recovery. And I said this last night in a meeting that I was at. And I said, I'm closer with you than I am my own family. And the same thing here with you guys, right? I am I live every day with you all on my channel. Every day I live with you all.
It works if you work.
Yeah, and if somebody was going to do something to y'all, I would be the first to be like, what can I do to help the situation? What can I do? I mean, there are people that watch this show and are on this channel. They'll tell you that I reach out to people, and I try, with what's going on with them. And I feel like the spread kindness motto is not just a motto with me. I try to live it. And when people, I said it earlier, like even in the YouTube community of Dolphins channels, there's some beef within the Dolphins community, right? And Dolphins content creators. And I hate when that happens, and I'm not going to name names, but I really hate when that happens, because there's no need for it. It's just so much hate and bickering, and it's like, really, why? Like it's all love here. I can have a channel, and TD can have a channel, and Dougley can have a channel, K Flex can have a channel, and Reason can have, all of them can have channels, and we can all do our own thing, and we don't have to take away from each other. We can share, we can enjoy each other's content, and that's what makes the Dolphin community really, really great. And it's enough to go around. That's right, Trey. And when I see an injustice, right? When I see, people that are being picked on or bullied, or it bothers me. It bothers me to a T, because, I mean, there's no, why? Why would we bring something? Why do we think by tearing other people down that it builds ourselves up?
No,
I don't understand that. And the same thing that goes with Ukraine and the Russia deal is, Russia, it's 2022. The world is what it is at this point. If you think that you want to, the only thing that, in my opinion, and Pamela hit the nail on the head, is just pure evil. Some people just are pure evil. And I try not to think that that's real. I'd like to think that everybody has empathy for one another, but some people just don't have empathy. Some people just cannot relate to other people and have a different thing in mind of, of power, of money or greed or whatever it is. And so that's kind of my thought process on that is, we're dealing with somebody right now, and Russia and Vladimir Putin, that I think they have a bigger thing in mind, and they don't have empathy for and I don't want to put all Russians in that category. I'm just saying the Russian Federation at the moment, and Putin, because he's leading them, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to bully and trying to have more power and create, and to me that is part of the issue that you have. And I, that's what sucks for me, right? Like, that's what sucks as a person, as a human being, that I'm watching these Ukraine people. I can't really do anything to help them. And they almost really can't do anything to help themselves except defend what there is. But let's call a spade a spade. Russia's bigger, faster, stronger, more up to date in advanced weapon technology. Like, it's not even going to be a real fight probably at the end of the day. It's not, and definitely not going to be a fair one. And so it sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry, Cap. It sucks when we're just talking about sanctions, when we, not just the U.S., but just people in general. It doesn't have to be the U.S. It can be the U.K. It can be, these other countries. We as an entity could stop, but then you're right. Then you'd have to worry about China and Turkey and these other countries, and then all of a sudden we're in a world war, and that I don't want. So what is the best move to make next? And that's where it comes in, and the answer to that is I don't know what the best move is now at this point.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is it that we do?
I have no idea. I don't know, because I believe that sanctions are. He doesn't care about that. Nope. And if we did decide to go to war, that's not going to do anything but provoke the situation and make it even worse. So there's no good scenario at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't sanction a country that just killed civilians. That doesn't equate in my book.
I mean, they will sanction them. They'll sanction them as early as today, probably. But that it just the hopelessness, or not the the helplessness and the hopelessness is kind of that feeling that you have right now. And then you go, it's what is the lesser of the two evils, or what is the best way to get around this? And unfortunately, an answer to how to end this is going to be with more death and bloodshed, and maybe even Americans getting involved, which would suck. But why is America, as all the wars that we've been in for bad and horrible reasons, again, not getting into politics, right? For all the stuff that we've done in our past, this is one that it's justified to kind of get into, right? Like, it is, we're seeing another country get bullied, and it doesn't matter. It's about loving other people. It's about being a human being and seeing injustice. And that alone, we should always stand up for injusticeness.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take, if you wanted to know a quick solution how this all ends, it's gonna take someone in Putin's administration, if you want to call it that, to stop him. And I'm not going to say it on air how to stop him, but that's how it.
A coup. It would be a coup.
It would be a coup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say the people in Russia, they're not happy about this. There's been
they're protesting. I've seen some of the stuff they're protesting.
I mean, the best that could come out of this is some type of uprising, or who knows.
But it all goes back to the stability of Putin. I mean, how crazy does he want to get? And from what I'm hearing, he's pretty crazy right now. So that's something. I mean, when you have a dog off its leash, anything can happen at this point, and that's what's scary.
You can't rationalize with the unrational.
Miss Finns Jolie brings up a great point. She said, how about the Middle East? We see this happen all the time, but we don't see the same energy. I think that the difference between that, so two things. Number one, you're not wrong, right? Like, that's a true statement. Like, it happens all the time. But here's the reality of it. Like, you know how I tell my kids all the time, don't come and tattletale on your brother or your sister. Try to work it out between you two, right? And I feel like that's a fair thing for me to say to my son and daughter, because I need them to learn how to work out problems on their own. I can't come into the rescue and try to fix everything. You got to learn how to deal with situations on your own. In this particular situation, it's not about a particular situation that you can deal with on your own. It's about somebody that is clearly bigger, stronger, faster, taking over somebody who's more weak.
Exactly.
Just because they can. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's, I want what you have and I'm going to take it from you. That's all this is in this particular situation. And so with that being said, to Jolie's statement, this happens in the Middle East all the time. There's nobody as big as Russia that's making this kind of noise, though.
Right.
And you have to realize Russia is a formidable opponent and somebody who we should truly, you don't have to say be scared of, but we have to respect how big and strong and fast they are. We got to respect it.
So I think
tactical about it.
Yeah, the biggest reason I think a lot of people are more scared this time than all the other times, and why more attention is being paid to the situation, is because of Russia having nuclear capabilities. I mean, when everyone in the chat's bringing up great points. We don't bring up that same energy when there are wars being fought in Africa, or when we went to war in the Middle East, and that those nuclear wasn't a factor.
Yeah. Nuclear
weapons are a factor now, and that's what makes everything a lot more scary and a lot more real.
And by the way, we've been the bully before. The U.S. has been the bully.
I didn't want to say it. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we have been. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to call a spade, right? But just because we've made mistakes in our past doesn't mean we have to sit by and stand idly now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
and to your point again, Jolie, you're right. It happens all the time in the Middle East with bigger countries and smaller countries. But even those even with those bigger countries, what I will say is nobody has been, in my humble opinion, nobody's been so big that they've been like, we've had to be like, okay, we also have to worry about ourselves in certain situations too. And just realize we can't help everybody. It's not just on the U.S. to help everybody. Right? We can't be the answer to everybody's problems. But in this particular situation, I don't know what the answer is. I don't even want to assume to know what the answer is, but I want to say that everything should be on the table and we should consider all options. And Trey, you're right. We do pick and choose, and that's not fair, but that's the way the world is. I'll tell you that. I don't have to, you guys know that. You guys know that.
The United States is a beacon of light, a beacon of freedom to the rest of the world. What do we look like if we don't step in and help a country that wants independence from a dictatorship? That's another thing. There's I think you said it right. Everything is on the table at this point. Anything can happen. And
freedom ain't so free anymore. I mean, do you think it'll get to the point where, since we are spread so thin, that they would institute the draft?
I don't think we're like that. Like, I don't even want to have that conversation because, number one, I don't think we're anywhere close to that yet. And that's just not. Yeah, that's just something that we're not there yet. we need to figure out if we're going to be involved from a military aspect or more of a what's the word? When you go in and you help, there's a particular
resources where you provide resources.
Yeah, where we provide resources for them, right? Like the American Red Cross and stuff like that. We need to figure that out first, you know. And to me, this isn't just a U.S. thing either. Like this is a humanitarian. That's right, humanitarian. Are we going to be involved in a military from a military aspect or a humanitarian effort? I'll say that. Yeah, it's we don't know what the next move is, but the next move, like, so today, like the G7 is getting together. So the leaders of the world are coming together to talk about this. I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I don't want them to talk for weeks about it, but I want them to have a conversation and say, how should we deal with this? And there should be a unanimous decision, like maybe even not a unanimous, but a majority vote of how do we go about in helping Ukraine? And that's, our president, the UK president, the big, political leaders of the world need to come together and figure out a way to figure out how to deal with this.
I said it before. The next important move is going to come from China, and it's going to come from Turkey, and it's going to have basically lines in the sand drawn and seeing whose side is on whose side at that point. The best thing that for everyone is for China to stay out of this. But if those other countries start joining Russia's cause, then I'm sorry to say it, guys, and I'm sorry to put fear mongering into this, but we're headed towards a world war. It's not that there is no other thing that can honestly avoid that at that point. If China goes after Taiwan, because that's the next logical step, if Turkey aligns itself with the Russian causes, then Europe has to respond accordingly, because then now what's happening is territories are being taken over, and they cannot just give up these territories willingly, because that shows weakness on our part. Not the United States, but all of NATO, all those European countries. They cannot allow that to happen. We cannot just stand back and provide humanitarian aid to those countries. We have to step in and avoid what could possibly be a takeover of Asia, of Europe, things like that. So I'm sorry to say, if the response is by China to start invading Taiwan, and like I said, lines in the sand being drawn, then world war is inevitable. And the way the economic, feeling is with everything, war, like I said, is the common denominator to reset all of that. So we'll see what happens.
I don't, the fear mongering stuff, like, I respect it. I don't want to necessarily dive into it, but what I will say to your thing is that it is a possible outcome of it is a possible consequence of people's actions in the near future, right? And so you're right. What does China do? What does Turkey do? All those things are real. And look, I'm not a political person in any way, shape, or form. I don't assume to be. I don't think that my platform is the need for it, but I think today was just like, let's get it out. Let's talk about it today and let's get it over with, because I think it's it's a matter of respect to the people of Ukraine. Like, me talking about how Wes Welker and Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain were introduced yesterday it means nothing compared to what's happening in the rest of the world right now. And I think that, we need to, I just want to respect the situation. The other thing that I want to say to it is, I think everybody has their own rights to how they feel to it. Like the way Christolakis may feel, and I don't mean to call you out, Christolakis. I'm just using you as the example.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
The way Christolakis feels, or the way Trey feels, or the way Jolie feels, or the way Cap for Life feels, or Droob, or Green Rat, or myself might all be 6 different ways of thinking. And some of our thinking might align with one another and some of it not. The point of what I want my show to be today is that, it sucks to what's going on, right? Like, I want us to show empathy to the situation. And I think that there there is there's an investment, and I don't know if investment's the right word, but there is something to say to be an example of how to show empathy to something. Because right now, Vladimir Putin is not showing any empathy at all. And there are a lot of people out here in this world that don't know what that word means or how to go about it. And I think that that's part of what we need to do is, hey, let's show our empathy for this, right? The other thing that I think needs to be shown or talked about or discussed is, sorry, got my necklace stuck in my jersey. The other thing that I think that needs to be talked about or discussed is how do we as a community come together and say, hey, look, how do we as war isn't empathetic, Stephen D. Trey just said. Yes, you're right. I'm not saying that it's not. But I'm not a political leader. You're not a political leader. We have no say as to what's going to happen. We got to sit here and stand by, right? And that's where we're at with this. And it's and here's the screwed up part, right? Like I say that the political leaders of the world need to get together. There's no doubt about it. But they're the ones that won't be fighting this on the front line. That'll be our job. Regular people will be the ones that will be in this. And that'll be the other sucky part about this whole thing. I just
if you want an answer to that, how people come together, it's a simple solution, and it's not political, it's not race related, it's not ethnic related, it's good versus evil. Just pick the side of good all the time, and that's how you come together. Do what's right.
I wish it was that simple, and I think it should be that simple, Christolakis, but we know that the world isn't that simple. We know that. We know that because just like Trey talks about and even Jolie has brought up, in our own backyard, we're dealing with mess and BS and we have problems with dealing with stuff in our own country. And I don't want to get into all that, but we know that that's true, right? And so, I'm sorry. With all that being said, if we can't figure out how to get our own stuff straight, how should we go into somebody else's? But we've been doing that for years. We've been doing that for years.
Yep.
And just because we're dealing with our own stuff doesn't mean we can't be empathetic and help somebody else. US is big enough that they have resources to go around and help a million different people, right? And this particular situation, no matter what the rest of the world is going through, this is the right thing to do, is to get involved in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's humanitarian, whether it's military, I don't know. But we should, like Ukraine, are human being brothers and sisters. Why wouldn't we help our fellow humans? And that's just kind of where I sit with it. Like and again, that's the spread kindness in me. That's the and love one another. I think about if my mom or dad or my aunt and uncle or one of you or somebody has has family over there. How would I feel about the situation? And Trey says, I think empathy is the wrong word with war, bro. That, I respect your opinion on that, Trey. But I also want you to know that I think is part of the problem with war, is that nobody shows empathy.
Facts.
And if more people who were the leaders of wars were to show empathy, we would have less people killed.
I mean, not to be political, but it's not their sons and daughters that are going to fight those wars. That's why.
You're right.
That's what
100%.
That's why war, doesn't mean anything to them, because it's not personal to them. It's personal for the people, you know, that have family members that are overseas and have family members that are in the Ukraine. That's when it becomes personal. That's unfortunately how the world works. And going back to what you said earlier, why can't it be as simple as picking the side of good or evil? Because those higher ups don't allow it to be that simple. And
it should be that simple, but it never will be, and that's not the world that we live in, and that sucks. You know, that sucks. That's just where we're at. Okay. Does anybody else have anything really big to say, or they want to ask or put their input in? Because I think that this is the show today. I don't think there's really anything else to be said except, you know,
I'm gonna go to work. I just want to say before I go, guys, if you can help somebody today, if you see somebody in need or someone in distress, if you have the resources to help them, if you have the time to help them, please do so. Now more than ever, just what's going on in the world, just try and be a good person every day. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
Chris Delacus, I love you, man.
Take it easy, Steven. Take it easy, guys.
All right, be good. Green Rat, final thought of the day, man. You still there, Green Rat? Take yourself off mute. I know you haven't been talking, so I'll give you a minute to take yourself off mute. Droob, you still there?
Yeah, what's up?
Final thought of the day, man.
This sucks. I guess that's it.
It does, man. It all does.
I love all y'all, though. You know, appreciate you guys here, and you know, hopefully, maybe tomorrow we can talk about football or something.
Tomorrow we're gonna get back into it, but I think today needed to happen, right? Like today
Yeah.
we needed to respect the situation for what it was. Look, I think again, I don't think my channel is the place to talk about politics or world events or anything like that. But I think when a world event like this happens,
Yeah.
I think the only respectable thing to do is, in this particular situation, is talk about it and have a therapy session and just understand how people feel. And some people are scared out of their mind, and some people are think, you know, there's propaganda in this, and there's some there's a million ways people are feeling right now, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. I just want people to know when you come to my channel that I'm not going to ignore bad situations either. I'm not just going to ignore something because I don't want to talk about it or I don't think this is necessarily the platform. I think this is a platform that we can use together to be there for one another. And that's what I hope today was. And if it wasn't, I apologize, you know, but it's not like this every day.
Of course. Yeah. No, but I'm glad we could kind of, you know, go through it together here a little bit this morning. And, you know, it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah,
I'm a first generation American. I'm Cuban on my mother's side, and I'm Ukrainian on my dad's side. And
Are you really?
Yeah, my grandparents came here from Ukraine. They escaped the Holocaust. Sorry, give me a sec.
What did I tell you about your wife calling you?
No, that wasn't my wife. That was a sales call.
Okay, all right. I'm just messing with you.
But yeah, my.
So do you still have family in Ukraine?
Probably.
Okay, but you don't talk to them or anything.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about my family history on my dad's side because my grandparents, they escaped the Holocaust, and that's how they ended up in America. But
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm not Jewish. But,
okay, all right. Well, Shalom still.
But it didn't matter. So it's hard. It's hard to you know, growing up, I always wanted to go to the Ukraine and like see where, you know, my family came from. And, you know, it hurts to know that, you know, maybe there's not going to be anything really there to visit at some point. I don't know. It's a rough day.
Is your parents still alive?
Yeah.
Your dad?
Yep. Both parents.
And have you talked with them since this whole deal has gone down?
No, not really.
Okay.
But
Look, man, I'm praying for you. I'm here for you, and I think that's something else that we need to realize, that there are plenty of our friends that have family members from Ukraine. They exist and they're here, and so yeah, like just know I'm here for you, brother, and I love you.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, man. Be good, Drew.
Yeah, have a good one.
Cap for life. You were actually wait, Cap, because I do want to give you final thought of the day. Let me bring in Alexander. Alexander, final thought of the day.
You know, it's really a tough subject, man. You know, it really is. You know, the only thing we can do, you know, is keep our heads up high. You know, and just pray for the ones that are over there. You know, my wife's stepdad is actually Ukrainian as well, and I haven't spoken to him since the whole ordeal began. You know, but it's but the good thing about it is he doesn't have family over there, so he doesn't have family over there, so they're all out of Russia and Ukraine and all that stuff. But the only thing we could do, you know, is pray for the people, and you know, here's the thing: if you have like John said, if you have somebody and know somebody that needs help, reach out to them. You know, tell them that you're here for them. You know, sit down, have a prayer with them. You know, break bread with them. And I'm here for you, Steven. I'm here for you, Cap. I'm here for everybody on this channel. You guys are like a big family to me, and I love your channel. It always will be. And you know, and God bless you and your families, Steven. Same thing with you, Cap.
Likewise,
And
bro.
everybody on this channel. You know, and I love you guys. Stay upbeat, man.
Be easy.
God
Be
bless.
easy, Alexander. Be good. All right, one more person, Cap, before you go. Hold on. Estefan, final thought of the day. Estefan, you there? Estefan going once. Estefan going twice. All right. Sorry, Estefan. I tried to get you on, bro. All right, Cap, final thought of the day, bro.
Yeah, man. It's goes to show you what we deal with all the time when we're talking in these morning shows is, you know, very minute compared to what's going on in real life, man. And you know, thank you for having that patience with us to talk about it. You know, I really thought it was going to be worse than what it was. It was, you know, not bad at all. It was just.
I think I said some good ground rules today, and I think people abided by them, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately it's something that we need to keep our eyes on, and yeah, man, just, you know, pay it forward, man. Do good, man. You know, it's pretty plain and simple. Good over evil. You know, all we can do now is just live life, man. Make sure that every time we wake up, we don't take anything that we do that day for granted.
100%, dude. 100%. I agree.
All right, brother, man. Have a good one. Stay safe,
Easy.
everybody.
No doubt. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. I'm your host, Stephen D. Today's been a tough show. It was a tough show today, but I don't regret doing it. I think that what I want people to take away from this show is that I truly do love everybody. I think part of the solution to any major issue, major war, conflict, violence, I think is kindness and love and empathy. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to show kindness, love, and empathy for people, and prayer, and lots of prayer. You know, normally I end the show with saying, "Hey, donate or hit the like button or share." I'm not going to do that today. I think today's show was for today's people. I think it gave y'all a platform to be able to hear things and discuss things and be there for one another, and just know I love y'all. That I think that y'all are the best fans in the world. I was excited. I was going to do Throwback Thursday today. I wanted people to wear throwback jerseys and come on and wear your throwback jerseys. We'll do that next week, maybe. I'll wear this again. This is the Joey Porter number 55 Dolphins jersey. That's right, Joey Porter, son. It's a size medium on me now. Size medium. Tomorrow is Spread Kindness Friday. Let's have a great show tomorrow. Tomorrow we're not going to talk about this. We're going to be positive. We're going to be upbeat. We're going to be ready to go. We're going to have a great show tomorrow. Great show tomorrow. Yeah. I love y'all. I really mean that. Really, really mean that. Okay. I wish today was we were talking about things that the world didn't worry about. I'm going to pray for y'all tonight. I'm going to pray for Ukraine. I'm going to pray for Russia. I'm going to pray for the Russian soldiers. I'm even going to pray that Putin is able to come to his senses, which won't happen, but I'll still pray for it. I'm going to pray for everybody. That's the only good thing to do. And Vonjo says, I had a hoodie on with a throwback logo. Does that count? Love you, Steven. Real talk. No, never mind. I knew what you did there. Von954, we love you too, Steven. Good man, good soul. I appreciate that. I need to hear that. That means a lot coming from you guys. Positive affirmations. I like them. Need to hear more of them. My love language is words of affirmation. Is words. Speak. Steven, you're a good person. I could tell. I appreciate that. Thank you. Love you, man. Dolphins going to the Super Bowl next season. From your mouth to God's ears. From your mouth to God's ears. Ryan AP, great show today, Steven. Fins up. Cap, stay safe, brother. All right. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock blockers. Let's go. We'll see you tomorrow.